Shalom Mesharala. Before we go into this lesson, we give all honor, all glory, and all praises be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakodash. We give double honor to the apostles and prophets and elders of James Camp, Bethlehem's great minister, for they bring forth the 100% truth that have been currently edified under. Shalom to the elect, Tabernacle of David, and Aaron Brother Zariah coming through this lesson. Now, what we are going to deal with here is this particular individual claiming to want to debunking Israelites' doctrine without information or evidence to show forth. Now, what I'm going to do is show historical evidence, biblical evidence, and prophecies identifying who our people would be and how they would have appeared to look like back then in ancient Israel. Now, for those who don't know, ancient Israel would have appeared to be of a darker skin tone, and is still, and many of them are still like that today, especially dealing with the southern kingdom. If you look at the hieroglyphs in Egypt, the images that was carved and painted back then were portrayed in what the image of a Negro having curly nappy type looking hair and a darker skin tone, while they were being brutalized by the Egyptians while they were in slavery. This is literally in the hieroglyphs in Egypt, and we have pictures of the same event today. So this guy, let's listen to what he had to say.
If you want to learn how to debunk these verses that the Hebrew Israelites use to teach that the Israelites are ethnically black.
So before we continue, I'm going to be the one to show you what the verses actually go into according to information, evidence, again, canonical, historical links, canonical, biblical links, even though we don't give a damn about these colors, scholarly summaries providing this information to be 100% true. So even if in your opinion or by your understanding they may not be using the precepts correctly because it may have mean something else, the fact of the point is ancient Israel were of a darker skin tone. So we can use these precepts to identify and hold strong the identity of what we would have looked like back then. Now, what I'm not saying is that all Israel is black. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is ancient Israel back then were of a darker skin tone. What I'm also saying is all Israel today is not Negro, not black, Salak. Because there are many of our people that were mingled with the other nations and gained their appearance through time, look similar and even like them through time. Which is why we always say that we give shalom to the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those whose seed line goes back to the children of Israel or their tribe, because we know our people are like speckled birds because of the mingling with other people. We have many precepts identifying that we mingled with these other nations, we joined with these other nations. Even in scriptures, it literally had many of our people during Hellenization that we wanted to look like these people. So we went and taken painful cosmetic surgeries and removing the melanin on the skin to appear to look like them. So even in the critical points, it's there, it's stated, it's part of your history. So now, with that being said,
but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. You see,
I'm going to say this.
The Shulamite woman's skin is being compared to the tents of the Israelites and the curtains of Solomon. But what's interesting is verse 6, look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon.
So what he's trying to imply, that first he says, in the first part, if you could look into his video, as he said, he's going to remove the fact or debunk the fact, or I don't want to butcher what he says. So What he believes is what we preach concerning Israel, who have a darker skin tone, is not true. And his aim is to debunk these facts. What I'm going to show you, going to history, is ancient Israel with dark skin. Remember, they were chosen to be in a landscape, an environment that would suit a high melanin body type. That which is not European, plain and simple. Example, let me show you why. Let me read some information first and allow you to understand why I'm saying that too. I don't want to just say it myself. So you read in. Ancient Israel, as mentioned here, information provided. We have many links provided as well, which you can go into. Don't get tired. I ain't playing. We ain't playing today. By the way. We're not playing today. Today is full evidence day. Full evidence day. And we can keep going. I say provide more necessary links. All right. More. There's more. From apps to Bibles to encyclopedias, every single thing, you name it. All of them, by the way, are Encyclopedia of Britannica, British Museum, all, by the way, are canonical to the to history and Bible. So let's go back up. Let's go back and read the points that we wanted to read, right? Plain and simple. I will provide evidence, which we are doing today, provide some precepts to add, and this is why it is important to come under the right teachers, because if you don't, and you may have missed the mark because of misedification, then you are going to go down a line or a road leading to your destruction, thinking that you are right when you are not. This is why it's important to apply the standards before you go into certain things. Let me move this. This is done already. Let's just go into it. Which you can grab in what? Isaiah 8 and 20, which is to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it's because there's no light in them. And remember, we're supposed to do what? We forget this main point. It says, study to show yourself approved unto power, a workman needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, which we are going to bring forward. This is not smooth words. This is not word play with no information. This is none of the above. This is historically accurate points, canonical to history, canonical to Bible, and canonical to prophecy also. So, remember this. This is going to be brought back to you in the end of this entire lesson. I hope you understand that. Let's go into some information. Ancient Israel were dark-skinned Semitic people indigenous to the Levant, distinct from European portrayals and also distinct from sub-Saharan Hamitic African populations. Example, the European portrayals which portrays the image appearing like Serapis Christus or Cesar Borgia, which we know today is called Jesus the Christ. That white Messiah, blue eyes. Literally, if you look at the structure of his face, European structure of his face, which is trying to maintain so hard that you trying to fight for, Mr. Debunking Hebrew, by the way. So let's go into some information. This statement is biblically accurate, historically accurate, and supported by archaeologists and genetics. Oh, wait. So you're already wrong. Let's go into it. Firstly, we're addressing the precepts that you had stated. And I didn't even use these on this app. I simply ask, were ancient Israel, dark-skinned Semitic people, separate or distinct from distinct from Europe or European people and African population? And it gave a nice addition to it, and then it adds that part below, and then it adds biblical canon primary source, because I said provide biblical and historical links that are canon to history. So let's go into it. It says, biblical canon and primary sources, the Bible places Israel firmly in the Semitic line of Shem, which we could go into right now and understand that. All right. Now we know Shem is the son of Noah. That doesn't even need to be shown. Let's go to the precept showing the lineage coming down. Maybe it's verse 14. We should go from Shem. So this be here, right? And Shem lived after and begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begat Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Salah for 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Salah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Salah lived after he begat Eber for 403 years and begat sons and daughters. All right. So they continued the lineage, the breed. The beef was fruitful and they multiplied, as Scripture says. Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. Let's keep skipping down. Verse 18. Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. Reu lived. We had to so we didn't continue. So we didn't lengthen the time now. Trying to make the video as profitable and as short and sweet as possible for the edifying. And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. And Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor, which we're going in very close now. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And Terah lived 70 and begat Abram, which we know name would have been, anyways, you know what I mean, changed to Abraham. So, and it says, continuing, jumping down, right? Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And says, now these are generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot, right? And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of the Abram's wives was Sarai, which we know, according to scriptures, would have been changed to Sarah, which let me grab it as we here. Genesis, I believe, 17 and 10. Bear with me. Right. Neither shall thy name. Let me get to the point. Verse 2. Genesis 17 and 2. It says, and I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee completely. And Abraham fell on his face, and power talked with him, saying, for as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be the father of many nations. Right? Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram or Abram, but name shall be Abraham. So you see the name was changed from Abram or Abram to Abraham, right? Much like his wife. So we see that here coming down also with Sarai to Sarah. I hope I'm in the right place. Right here. Right? And power, let's just prove the point. And power said unto Abraham, as for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. So you see the changes of the names. I want to make sure I identify that. It comes down to the point, which shows the lineage from Shem coming to Jacob. So because many people for some reason think that Shem, for some reason they take us to be Hamites, when we know we come from the lineage of Shem. Because when you go into the information properly, it identifies that. Firstly, it shows that we come from Semitic people. Semitic goes back to the word Shem, Shemitic nation. So we are from the Shemitic people, which were dark-skinned, as mentioned. And when you go into, by the way, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, which we have a precept here, it identifies what the image or what Shem would look like. It says Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, by the way, which is the best historically and biblical Bible in the world as mentioned. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, one most accurate as mentioned, most accurate by the way. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, and the Ethiopians, and the Libyans, and the Canaanites. So those that were excluded were the Negroes. Now, Negroes, when you go into its Latin definition, or a definition itself, it means black or dark-skinned. And the description of the word Negroes were actually describing the skin tone of the individual. You can look, I've did a lesson on this already. It's not hard to look up. That's the point in it. It was also used as a derogatory term to identify our people in this time, and some of the scholars that put this together using the word Negroes knew this and still placed it anyways. When you go into the information from the Compact Bible Dictionary, deal with the same harm what you read here. The information is very clear. They are identifying this for a reason, because they know, according to history, that ancient Israel, the lineage going back to Shem, were these Negroes. Which is why you can check in the hieroglyphs in Egypt, and you would see a dark-skinned people holding captive a dark-skinned people. One being enslaved for a particular period, marching the scriptures and history, and the other ones being brutalizing them by any means necessary. Which is why the scriptures made it very clear, though we might have similar appearance via skin tone, what did he do? Exodus 11 and verses 7, let's read it. Right here, it says, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that Yahweh doth put a difference between Egyptians and Israel. One of that difference is being what? Under the truth, wisdom, and knowledge are given to our people. The other difference is the lineage. Shem and Ham is from 2 different lineage. Ham bring about Egyptians. Shem bring about the Israelites. This is what we have to remain in our heads. And if the Israelites were in captivity, and the hieroglyph shows that those that were in captivity by the Hamites or the Egyptians with a darker skin tone, it would directly line up with what this is saying right here, and it also would line up with history is bringing out right here, which is why they can use. But again, even if you believe that it's incorrect, or it may be incorrect, they could still use it because ancient Israel back then was a dark skin tone. We cannot deny that fact. And we're talking about Arabian looking people, by the way, because the information, when you go into the even AI, when they give the information and what they would look like, their appearance, this is what they get. Now you know it's AI because you can barely see the color, but look at the hair and the skin. Look at it. Who does that look like today? Should I say it, or are you going to admit it? That's all I'm going to say. Because now with that, we're going to continue into the information provided, and we're going to add another part to even prove further skin pigmentations for Israelites. Not my words, but it goes back to what? Ancient DNA studies, which we did. This information, there's links to that even on this one, which we're not going to move. We're going to make sure it brought out into these lessons, even if it takes 3 videos to do. Let's keep going. Song of Solomon, and 1 verses 5. I am dark but comely. By the way, I did a lesson on this as well, and it was mentioning, which you can grab if you. Let me see if I grab it. I was taking the lesson because I don't want to tie, but you can check it yourself. It literally is describing the appearance of Solomon. The appearance of Solomon. By the way, one more time. His appearance. Not just the metaphorically, but his physical appearance. All right. Lamentation 4:8, which give complexion darker and than coals. Jeremiah 40:2, which we know, black unto the ground. Numbers 12:1, Cushite comparison only meaningful if Israelites were already dark. Makes sense, right? Or you say go and debunk that. You're going to try to debunk that. I can't debunk this information being brought out here. Sorry. Anyways, these are canonical scriptures, not later commentaries. So it shows one time what you are stating is already incorrect, because these scriptures can be used to identify our color or the color that our people was, or the appearance of how they would look like back then. All right, being in very humid conditions. You wouldn't have Europeans dwelling in those lands. We've seen the effects of humid conditions against Europeans without certain elements to help them. What happens? Let's be real. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. It says, Egyptian archaeologists. It says, contemporary visual evidence. Egyptian art is critical because it contemporarily and ethnically ethnically consistent. Tomb of Rekhmiah, 18th dynasty, c. 1400 BCE, depicts Asiatic or Semitic laborers. The category Hebrews fall under. It shows dark skin, dark brown skin, curly wavy hair, beards, non-European features. One more time. Non-European features. It gives the Google search, which I believe you can type in and see for yourself. 1. Egyptians did not portray Semitics as white Semites or Shemites as white Europeans, because they lived and they documented everything there back then. So if they're documenting a person that they had captives over as part of their story, and their depiction of these people were not white Europeans, then that would mean that the Shemites, which they had captives, which were of Hebrew origins, in other words, aka Israelites, would have been of a darker hue, not white European portrayals, to be exact. So that also means that you are historically and biblically incorrect. Let's keep going. Assyrian relief, Iron Age, Israel. Lachish relief, Sennacherib, 701 BCE, shows Judean captives with dark hair, beards, Semitic facial features, no European phenotypes. Lachish relief, Judean captives. It's right there. I'm providing the links that you could see so you can now identify and understand. Now let's go in genetics and population history and modern scholarship. Ancient DNA shows Israelites came from the Levant Semitic gene pool, not Europe and not sub-Saharan Africa, which we know to be the Hamites today. Key scholarly source, Biblical archaeology review, Jews and Arabs descended from Canaanites, not directly, but when you go into the information, it shows that not directly from the lineage in the biblical archaeology, but not from the lineage, but from the land area itself, the region itself, not the lineage. And we could get in the next information showing us now. If you keep scrolling, you get it. It's there. NIH PMC genomic history of the Bronze Age Southern Levant. We have the link right there dealing with the DNA itself. National Geographic Ancient Canaanite DNA. Let's continue. These show regional Levantines continuity. Regional, not Europeans' origin. Clear distinction, very important, not Europeans. The European light-skinned portrayals are late medieval inventions, which would also prove your statements, if you follow up on these videos, to still be, you want to hear it? You want to cook ears? Inaccurate. Let's keep going. Contradicted by archaeological art, scripture, and genetics. So again, you want to keep going? Because I can tell you right now, you're wrong. All right. No sub-Saharan Hamitics. Israelites were Afro-Asiatic Semitics, which go back to Shemite. Remember, Noah created his sons, Shem, Japheth, Ham. Shem being Negroes from the line, which goes direct straight down to Israel, and then we have Ham, which were the dark race. Appeared similar, the color was similar. However, they were the Africans, the Hamites, the Egyptians, and so forth, as mentioned in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. So Israelites were Afro-Asiatic, not Nigger Congo population. Okay, why would they say it like that? Okay, Hamitic race is an outdated 19th century term. The name is now African, all right, which I mean in biblical terms it goes back to Hamite or Hamitic nations, as we know. Dark-skinned, curly hair Semitic Levantines are visually closer to Northeast Africa than Europe, but this is distinct people with their own lineage and covenant identity. Final statement. Locked in. Final statement. Ancient Israel were dark-skinned Semitic people indigenous to the Levant, not European and not sub-Saharan African, as confirmed by the Bible, Egyptians and Assyrians, archaeologists, and modern genetics. This understanding is now saved. I told them to save it. Then I also ask, when they ask us to provide more necessary sources and links. Understood. They are providing it. I will keep it this neutral, scholarly, and verifiable, meaning it's not of my bias, it's not of your bias. It's unbiased, proper, historical, canonical evidence and information, not my bias, nor yours. And this is what I go by. I always stand by this. For those who've seen my recent videos, you see that I literally typed in biased information, and I asked a question, and the answer I get was coming away from the truth. When I type in unbiased and I ask the same question, they give a different answer, more directing towards the truth. So as I said, unbiased information. Hebrew Bible description, Song of Solomon, which Hebrew, and the name is Shahora, which means a dark or black, right? When you go into to the Bible Hub, it explains.